Hey guys, it's Ricky. I can't say, oh, welcome back to my channel or any type of YouTube stuff because I'm never on YouTube, and the only times I consistently post on YouTube is for these videos. So I'm here with a Meet You There tour Soundcheck frequently asked questions video, just because I did one of these for, I think it was Rock Out With Your Socks Out, and then I recycled the video for Sounds Live Feels Live. I always watch these type of videos before I go in to any type of sound check or concert experience sort of thing, just because I'm really curious and I want to know how things go play by play. There may be a bunch of these videos by the time I get mine up. I went to shows 5 and 6, which was Virginia Beach and Vienna, Virginia. I'm also going to Nashville, but when I was looking after the first 2 shows, there wasn't many videos up, and a lot of people had questions about Soundcheck and how it all worked. So I'm just gonna put this up, and if there are a bunch of them, then so what, I made this video for nothing. But I wanted to follow it up anyways because I did it for Rock Out Your Socks Out. I'm gonna do it now. Alright, so if you have Soundcheck, every venue is a little different. So keep in mind that what I'm saying for my 2 shows may not be the same for what your show is gonna be, because everything's a little bit different. So my first show, Virginia Beach, is the one I had Soundcheck for. So how Virginia Beach worked is that the venue originally stated nobody could be there until noon to line up. There was a concert the night before, so you definitely couldn't camp out overnight. However, they were actually pretty lenient about that, and they let people start lining up probably about 8 a.m., maybe a little bit before that. There was a couple girls there, but the actual crowd started to come in between 8 and noon. I know some other shows are different. I know Vienna, in the email that you get for a soundcheck, it says don't line up until 2 or don't be there at specific times. The venue, Wolf Trap at Vienna, tweeted people, and they said, you're allowed to be here as soon as, because it's a national park, you're allowed to be here as soon as we open. However, that doesn't guarantee you a spot in line. I'm not gonna say because you were here first, you're first. That's not on me. But they were able to line up earlier for a sound check, so every venue is a little different. I know some are very strict because some are fairs and some are on private property. I know they're all a little different. But for me, I got there at about 11 in the morning in Virginia Beach. I actually technically I live 4 hours away, but I'm at college, which is 2 hours away. So I had to get up that morning and drive the 2 hours. So I lined up at 11. It works the same, you just wait in line. They started their check-in tent at about 4. Okay, as far as check-in goes, the email says if you're 12 years old or younger, your parents or any sort of adult has to have a ticket and has to be with you when you go in. If you're 13 through 15, an adult has to walk you up to the check-in, check you in, and then you can go wait in line. 16 or older, you just have to have an ID. Anytime you check in, whether it's your parents, you have to sign in with an ID. I know a lot of people buy tickets with their parents' cards. Just take a picture of their ID, it's perfectly fine, and show them. Or even try to put the reservation under your name, but just always have a picture. Even if your friend bought it and you're going to meet her or something, or she can't be there so she wants you to check you guys in, have a picture of her ID, and that's how you're gonna get checked in. So for Soundcheck this year, there was an upgrade versus the package. The only difference is the package, you get a signed poster. I did an upgrade. I didn't realize. It is just a signed Meet You There tour poster, which is really cool. Okay. So I got there at about 11. This also gets tricky. A lot of fans try and do a numbering system, which is fine. It keeps everybody in a line, know where they are, it keeps your place. It's fair, I guess. However, specifically for my venue, this caused a lot of issues. There's people complaining, they were getting the venue security involved. The first couple shows were so bad, people were getting hurt, but the venue security came and told the girls, you can't do this, you don't work here, this isn't from us. Stop. Essentially, they just told them to stop and just quit it, because some people like the numbering system and some don't. It's just kind of one of those things. If you and your show and your venue and everybody around wants to do it, it's a good way to keep organized, because there is issues with people cutting, and if you have numbers and you have wristbands, it all just, you're in a line, you know what I mean? Whatever, but that's not on me. every show is gonna do it the way they want. Also, side note, it's very important to keep yourself fed and have a lot of water during these shows. It's still hot where I am. It was like 90 degrees almost the day of our show. There's a lot of girls fainting, a lot of girls, and that stinks. I always feel so bad for girls who make it to the show, are on barricade, and they can't make it all the way through because they're dehydrated or they have a heat stroke. Take care of yourself. That means going to sit in your car for AC for 10 minutes, please do it. That's really important. I know everybody says that, just make sure you're prepared. I kid you not that, especially if you're traveling, a lot of people travel for these shows. Just driving 2 hours after the show, I was so physically exhausted that I knew I should have like had more water, slept more, like just been better to my body. So just please take care of yourself. Anyways, back to how it works. They're gonna take you in, you're gonna wait a bit longer, and then they finally file you in. If you have pit, general admission, they just file you in the way you came. The way you're in line from when you line up in the morning is the way they line you in. So they lined us up. You obviously can't use your phone or anything. That's a rule. I always sound record. I don't think you're supposed to do that either, but it's fine. They usually sing a song. We got Valentine first, and they usually sit down and answer questions. So how questions this year works is that when you come in, you're supposed to have your questions written down. You're supposed to bring them to Soundcheck with you written down. I guess, I don't really know why. I guess it's easier for you to show the person who asks for questions than tell her. I don't know. So when they file you in, they come around and they ask you if you have questions. When you're in the pit, the one thing is if you're barricade or like you're in the middle or you're like front and center. I was center, like right in front of Luke's mic, like second or third row back. The thing about questions and then being in the middle of the pit is it's hard for the person doing questions to get to you. For our show, she did a lot of people on the barricade, all the way in the back and on the sides. But you're supposed to have your question written down. She'll come around, tell you yes or no, and then she'll stay with you and then give you a mic when it's your time to ask your question. So if you're in the middle, which is a great view, it's just very hard to get to you with questions. That's something I learned. They do about, I think for us, I want to say they did about 8 questions, maybe like 6 to 10, somewhere in between that. I think it depends on how much time they have, how fast they answer questions. I think they answered all of our questions kind of lengthy. They all took about 2 or 3 minutes to answer. So that kind of eats up time. It's the same as it always works, just questions and then a second song. For our second song was If You Don't Know. I think that's going to kind of be a trend for the rest of this tour. They seem to be bringing that one back to do at Soundcheck. They even said it's the one that everybody asks for, and they sang. Okay, this is the part that gets messy. At the end of Soundcheck, they file you out. They try to file you out front row, second row, third row. However, it gets messy because when the first row comes up, people from the second row try to jump in, stuff like that. That is kind of where the numbering system helps a lot, because then when you get back in line for pit, you have your numbers. This was a big problem in the beginning of the tour. Everybody was mad that once you were in pit for Soundcheck, you had walked out. This has always been like that. Rock out with your socks out, sounds left, feels left, you've always been taken out. Even if they didn't have pit, we always left. That is because the Aces Soundcheck, that has nothing to do with them. That's how it's always been. Hey, Violet did the same thing. It was always that way. A lot of people are mad about that. That's just how it is. I don't think they can just keep you there for hours. Also, this gives you a good opportunity to go sit down. When they come out, you just start a line right there at the pit entrance. It gives you an opportunity to sit down, and then you and your friends can go get food and come back in line, stuff like that. It's very nice because you get like probably an hour, maybe a little bit more of time to go use the bathroom, get food. I was so tired of standing because you stand in the pit the entire time. Unlike if you had Rock Out with Your Socks Out Soundcheck, that was seated, so everybody was able to sit down and then stand up when they sang. You're standing this entire time. So it was really good, especially for me, because I was able to sit down and then go get food. I was running on such low energy because I hadn't eaten since I got there at 11 o'clock in the morning. It's already after 5 at this point, so I know I needed to fuel up for the show or something was going to go wrong. So that's just a good opportunity. But everybody's been complaining about coming out. You always come out of the pit. That's never changed. So that's just where things get messy. Just please be respectful to others and know your spot in line. The girls who were behind us, actually, at Soundcheck, cut in front of us. There's about 10 or 12 of them. And, at the end of the day, it's not a big deal, but it's just kind of rude. We had waited there for several hours before them, and yet they still jumped right in front of us. we still had a great view. We were still very close. It just still, like, at the end of the day, it's like, oh, that sucks. Like, we could have been closer. We could have been more center if these people were in front of us. And we had waited so much longer. That's the part where it gets messy. I know some venues let in, like, open doors differently. So what we did is that doors opened at 7. You had to be in line and have your ticket rescanned around 6:30. Then what they did is when doors as soon as doors opened, they started to file us in the pit. So they opened doors and you could see everybody running to our line and they were filing us in. That way, nobody from the general admission line who didn't have soundcheck could cut into the front. They just, as they let them in, they just tried to file us in. That way we were there. You have an hour and then the aces come on at 8 and 5 sauce is supposed to go on at 8:50. They were kind of late for us. It was like 8:56, 9 sort of time. I think that's all I have. If there are any more questions, just like my last video, put them down below or tweet them to me at Ricky featuring bands. That username is probably going to change soon. But for the meantime, tweet me there or just leave them down below. I answered last time and I'll answer again, or you can send me a DM. Thanks for watching, guys.